Hey, NorCal Carters, this is Jason, and once again today I have James McMahon from CartPulse.com with us. You want to say hi,
Hello.
James?
Hi, James.
Hi, James. All right. So before we get to James, just a couple things to cover. This podcast is brought to you by Leading Edge Motorsports. You could check out Leading Edge Motorsports at leadingedgemotorsports.com. They're one of the few NorCal kart shops where they're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. They're a walk-in shop down in Lodi, California. So if you see Greg at the track this weekend at KPX, tell him thanks for sponsoring the podcast so you can listen to my wonderful voice and also James' wonderful voice.
Right. Yeah, go give Greg a fist bump.
That's right. And so back to the KPX. They're pretty excited. They put out earlier today that they've hit record pre-entries. They had over 60 pre-entries, which they haven't had before. I contribute that to the podcast they did earlier in the week, but that's just me kind of blowing my own horn. Is that the right phrase? So KPX, they have record pre-entries. They're looking for a good weekend at Prairie City, and the official day is going to be Sunday. Practice is on Saturday. They run a combination of the Briggs LO206 and the IAMI KA100 packages. And again, we will be live at Prairie City on Sunday because of Leading Edge Motorsports. They wanted live coverage of the races, and they wanted to try something a little different. So we will be out there. And also going on this weekend, we have the California Rock Cup Championship at Willows. A number of NorCal racers are going down for that. And what I really want to hit on for this moment, and James is going to be able to segue right into this, is the NCK Road Racing group. So they're doing a $50 intro to road racing next Saturday. And it basically came together pretty quickly. They were struggling for some numbers, and they were just looking to mix it up and trying to grab just new attention for road racing. So those that might be interested or thought about road racing, give it a shot. It's nckroadracing.com. The race is going to be next Saturday, June 29th at Thunder Hill, and they're utilizing the Thunder Hill West track. James, you and I have talked about this many times off the podcast about just different events in karting, and so many people look at karting and they have to go race. We have to race. And one of my most recent favorite events was a barbecue at Blue Max last weekend with a bunch of 80 shifter guys and the Track Magic owners group. And what have you seen out there where events that are gaining some traction or showing excitement?
Yeah, that's a good one. The first ones that come to the mind are some of the larger events like Super Nationals. Our local track here at Stockholm Motorsport, or not Stockholm Motorsport, Stockholm Karting Centre. They just renamed recently. They have an annual event where it's, they provide food and everything, and everybody just kind of gets together and hangs out and keeps it low key. I used to run the Championship Enduro Series, Road Race Series up here in the Midwest. And same thing, we'd have a grill, we'd have a cookout, we'd hang out and just try and relax a little bit, let some of the pressure off the weekend. So I think we're seeing, not just in karting, but we're seeing that across the whole kind of autosport ecosystem. I looked at Indianapolis, it was a satellite picture, it was 300,000 people there for the Indy 500. And I made the comment that, this is proof that people don't turn up for races. And it is, because they're not there for a race, they're there for an event. And that's kind of how the world has gone. So, you need kind of different things to attract people, but that's also a lot more work. But I've even seen kart tracks have firework displays at tracks, which I think is a great idea. Get some people to come to the track and just see some karts, and then obviously fireworks on and off the track. Night races actually is another one. Even though it's a race, those are crazy fun. Even the slowest karts feel like they're going like crazy speeds on night races, so they're fun too. But yeah, I think we're starting to see across the board more and more clubs are in some cases with help of racers too, pitching in and helping out to put on these, if you want to call them extracurricular activities, that are kind of outside our little racer bubble, which is good. But not everybody is as sadistic as some of us are who've been around the sport for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years.
Yeah, so does that mean when we start gravitating towards the barbecues and the hangouts, are we considered vintage?
I've been called worse, even just today.
Someone posed that question to me the other day, and I started thinking about it's like, yeah, I mean, this is kind of how I would look at the vintage guys. They get together a couple of times a year. They show off their carts, they hang out, they chat, they throw a barbecue. Some of them in our neck of the woods, they have swap meets on the same day. It's just vintage only. And you look at it, and I've been saying this, karting needs more of these events. And when we keep hosting racing events just to get the racer out there, we're leaving so many people left out that aren't necessarily racers. They still enjoy competing in a kart. Maybe they just go out on a weekend or a weekday and they want to do their 1 hour of driving and go home. We need to make it easier for those kind of guys to go out and enjoy karting. It's not always about doing 20 laps and coming home with $1 plastic trophy.
Right.
And on your site, I need to get rid of that word I'm gonna put above my screen, no. It's a terrible placeholder. So, I'm going to start using the word so.
So.
Yeah, on Kart Pulse,
like,
there's a thread going.
You could say like.
What was it?
Yep.
BYOK?
Yeah.
You want to explain what that means? Because I don't know.
Well, it's a term that was coined today, it looks like, and it's called bring your own kart. A guy called Hadrian Deemer, I think, said or asked, are there any BYOK tracks in New England? BYOK being bring your own kart. So, he's somebody who has a kart that's in reasonably good shape, doesn't necessarily want to race. And he's not alone here. We've had a couple of people stop by the forums and say the same kind of thing. Like, I got shit to do on the weekend. The weekend's not an option for me yet. I'm not hardcore into racing, but I love driving this kart. So where can I go do that? So a couple of people chimed in with some options for him. But, it's definitely an area of growth that I think we can nurture for the sport. But of course, it requires extra accommodations, right? Especially when you're thinking about safety. You get some guy turning up with a Gixxer or something. Yeah, that's probably not going to be such a great idea. You got to set some ground rules. But if you look through YouTube, the videos that involve karts or go-karts that are most viewed they're not us racing karts. They're usually karts that have been bought on Craigslist and hacked to pieces, and all sorts of terrible things done to them. But at the end of the day, people gravitate.
Craigslist guy does a better job of getting on YouTube than the karting industry.
Yeah, it's funny because it resonates with more people. That's why, and so a lot of people will turn their nose up at that, and that's fine. For me, it's like I'm just about karts and karting enthusiasm. Like pro tour or no tour is the term I coined for Kart Pulse. It's like if you've got a go-kart and whether you want to crush it and win all the things or just build some ridiculous crazy kart for the weekend, then whatever works for you, just go do it and have fun with it. But yes, we've had a couple. We had another guy who has a CR250 Sprinter. He's like, where can I take this thing? I'm like, well, we need to talk about your previous racing experience maybe, but does it have front brakes?
Yeah, like I saw that thread as well, and it was, I can't. I think his words were, "I really can't let this thing open up." And someone politely responded, "Yeah, it's a 250 on a sprint track. It's not going to."
Right.
Go road racing, but yeah, these events, like you say, it doesn't, and they don't have to be the Super Nats as far as that big of a show. I mean, it's the crew that puts on the Super Nats. They're working on 2021 already. They're not working on 2020. They're working on 2021. I mean, there's there's a huge amount of planning for an event like that. But scale it way back for the local clubs. Again, I can't say it enough, and everyone I'm going to talk to, I'm going to tell them, that Track Magic Owners Group barbecue that I went to last weekend, it was one of the most enjoyable karting events I've been to in a while. It was just a bunch of guys, a bunch of carts, a bunch of people out there, and they were just showing off their carts. They were doing a bunch of laps. They had a barbecue, and there was just a bunch of smiles. And I can see it where other people are looking at it and go, yeah, I could be a part of this. This looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's all part of the mix, right? Like without some sort of contrast, if you're doing the same thing over and over, after a while it gets a little bit tiresome. And I think that's why, sometimes people kind of burn out of the sport or any activity that they do because there's no variety in it for them anymore. They hit a plateau in their learning and they just get pissed off and leave. And, they put the shifter on Craigslist. Somebody buys it for $500.
Yep.
And they realize it's kicking their ass and they put it back on Craigslist. But
yeah, that's usually me, by the way, extracartparts.com.
Extracartparts.com for all your extra car parts needs.
Well, I'm really looking forward to next weekend's event at the NCK for the road race. Mainly because it's going to be different. It's an intro to road racing. I am not a road racer. I am actually entered in the event to go. I did one road race last year and I had so much fun, but I felt I was too methodical at getting up to speed. Because for me personally, knowing that you're going over 100 miles, 100 miles an hour, not just 100 miles, but 100 miles an hour, for me it was intimidating. I'm not one of these guys that just hops in a go-kart and goes 95% out of the gate. I have to build up to a speed, and that's just how I process it. And with the road race, I pretty much spent all day trying to get up to speed, and then I used the last race, okay, let's get on it. And at the end of the day, I had a big smile on my face. It was a lot of fun. So I'm really excited about this event at Thunder Hill next weekend for the intro to road racing. It is $50, and you're not going to find a cheaper event in karting than $50. And hopefully they just don't take it too big of a hit in the wallet. But let's get the word out there for these guys. I mean, they're trying something different. They're trying to get more people to track. And it's not entries. We just need people looking at go-karts. That's all it is. We don't need people racing for a trophy. We just need people buying karts and going to the track and driving in some fashion. Would you agree?
Right. I think that's a good start. Yeah. I mean, it becomes a bit more complex to manage, but I think that would be better than, not having a sustainable ecosystem, which is, I wouldn't say that's where we're at right now, but I think we can do better, right? A lot of it is just kind of getting out of our racer mindset and just,
Yeah, when you pull into a kart track and you have nowhere to park and unload your cart, then we've reached critical mass.
Right.
When you pull into a kart track and you can park anywhere you want and under the tree because no one else is there, that's a problem.
Yeah, I think that's a good metric. That's a good way of measuring it. But yeah, I mean, to speak to Thunder Hill, I mean, you said $50. Like, when else can you run Thunder Hill for $50?
You can't. The normal entry fee's $300 or $350.
I was going to say probably at
because
least
the tracks are they're just so expensive to race, and these clubs they all run across the same thing, right? This is the anticipated entries. This is our cost. Divide.
Right. And hope and pray. I mean, even just to put the deposit down for those tracks is an undertaking. Some of them require $10,000 up front.
Yeah.
So for a lot of these clubs, that's a significant amount of cash. But I love road racing. Obviously, I love all karting. But strangely enough, the backstory. When I raced karts back in Ireland, I grew up in Ireland, if you will. Well, I don't want to say grew up. That's a little bit of a stretch. But I lived there until I was 26 years old.
You got about 30 seconds.
All right. Well, anyway, part of the national series was one road course. So we had both sprint and road course for our national championship. So I got exposure to it. Go to Thunderhill. You'll love it. Change your gearing and just gun it.
That's what we're going to do. And James, thanks again for joining us. And leadingedgemotorsports.com, thank you for sponsoring the podcast and the live race action at Prairie City for the KPX event this weekend. See you out there.
All right. Talk to you later, guys.